Disney's Snow White remake has become the company's worst nightmare. The film has reached a humiliating new low, sealing its place as the worst-rated Disney release of the decade.
Everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, people will wait in line to see.
Rachel Zegler, reportedly avoiding media after Snow White fallout. Following the disastrous reception of Disney's Snow White remake, lead actress Rachel Zegler is reportedly stepping away from the spotlight. Sources claim she has even relocated to New York City in an attempt to escape the intense media scrutiny and public backlash. Recently, fans spotted her riding a local subway, and many were shocked by how dramatically her situation has changed in such a short time. The film, heavily criticized for its woke direction and changes to the beloved classic, suffered from dismal box office numbers. Photos of near-empty theaters quickly went viral on social media, sparking debate and disappointment among longtime Disney fans. By its fourth weekend, Snow White had been dropped from over half of its original theater count, with many cinemas pulling the film early to make space for higher-performing titles. The swift decline not only impacted Disney's reputation, but also put Zegler under heavy public pressure. What was once positioned as a bold, modern reimagining has now become one of Disney's most talked about flops in recent memory. As Zegler lays low in NYC, the entertainment world is left wondering what's next for both her and the future of Disney remakes.
Keep talking about Snow White, because Disney's Snow White remake, the box office has suffered a 66% drop in the second weekend of showing. So the film's flop could end up costing Disney millions of dollars. We know that the movie is currently one of the lowest IMDb rated movies of all time, receiving a 1.6 out of 10 rating. It's generated $143 million globally to date, which is well short of the $250 million that Disney has spent producing the film, and that doesn't even include the marketing expenses.
The situation grew even more embarrassing for Snow White when a fan posted a viral TikTok showing she was the only person in the entire theater. She entered expecting at least a small crowd, but after sitting down and looking around, she quickly realized the seats were completely empty. Despite her initial surprise, she stayed for a few minutes, documenting the surreal experience before eventually leaving. The video quickly gained traction online, adding to the growing narrative of the film's box office failure and fueling even more criticism of Disney's latest live-action attempt. By mid-April 2025, Disney's Snow White remake had been pulled from over 1 to 200 theaters across the US, marking one of the steepest declines in recent box office history. The film opened in approximately 3,750 locations, but that number plummeted to just 2,540 within a few short weeks. This wasn't a minor drop, it was a full-blown collapse. According to outlets like Forbes, Snow White screenings were being canceled at record speed. Why? Because virtually no one was buying tickets. Reports surfaced of entire showings selling as few as 3 tickets, with average daily revenue falling to a shocking $53. By late April, the situation became so bleak that many theater owners saw no reason to keep the film on the schedule, especially with high-demand titles like Minecraft, the movie, and Captain America: Brave New World drawing in packed crowds. To really put things into perspective, while Rachel Zegler's Snow White was playing to nearly empty auditoriums, Minecraft fans were going all out, some even bringing live chickens ew into theaters to celebrate their favorite game's big screen debut. It was a moment that highlighted just how far Disney's fairy tale had fallen. It wasn't just a flop in America, the failure went global. In China, videos began circulating online showing Snow White IMAX screenings with completely empty seats. Despite the premium format, not a single viewer showed up, highlighting just how widespread the film's rejection had become.
As a good reporter, I went to check it out myself yesterday here in Shanghai. Now, including myself and my friend, the entire IMAX cinema had just 5 audience members. And that is despite Disney going all out in the promotion of the film here in China. There was even a poster in the elevator at my apartment complex.
Somehow, Rachel Zegler managed to make things even more awkward when she showed up at one of the nearly empty theaters herself. A TikTok of her sitting alone in the audience quickly went viral, turning the moment into yet another symbol of the film's public downfall. At this point, it's becoming clear that Rachel Zegler's Hollywood career may be in serious jeopardy. Following the collapse of Disney's Snow White, major studios are reportedly rethinking future collaborations with her. Industry. Insiders suggest that her controversial political comments during the film's press tour have made her a high-risk name, someone many companies now prefer to avoid. Behind the scenes, reports of emotional outbursts, controlling behavior during filming, and a constant focus on political messaging created a difficult production environment. According to some insiders, Zegler's actions didn't just contribute to the downfall of Snow White, they may have caused Disney to reconsider its entire strategy for future woke remakes. Financially, the damage is even more staggering than most realize. What began as a bold attempt to modernize a beloved classic has now turned into what many are calling the biggest flop in Hollywood history. The film's failure isn't just a blow to Disney's brand, it's become a cautionary tale for the entire industry. As audiences turn toward other blockbuster hits, Snow White and its fallout serve as a brutal reminder. Even the biggest studios can't afford to ignore their viewers.
On to lighter news now, and a news that will surprise, well, none of us. Disney's live-action remake of Snow White is officially one of the biggest flops in Hollywood history.
A new report from Outkick has revealed just how devastating the financial fallout from Disney's Snow White remake really is. While Disney insiders originally hoped to cap losses at around $115 million, updated figures show the situation is worse than expected. With the film's global box office gross stalling at approximately $195 million, total losses are now projected to hit $145 million, a brutal blow for the studio. But the financial hit is only part of the story. The failure of Snow White could signal the unraveling of Disney's broader strategy of pushing live-action remakes with heavy social and political messaging. What was once seen as a bold, progressive move is now being criticized as disconnected from audience expectations. In a recent interview, Disney CEO Bob Iger was asked directly about the company being labeled as too woke. His response only raised more eyebrows, admitting awkwardly that he's not even sure what woke means anymore. He insisted Disney is simply trying to make a positive impact globally. Still, with Snow White flopping and fans growing increasingly vocal, many wonder if this marks a turning point in Disney's approach to storytelling.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences. Critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Actions speak louder than words, and the fallout from Disney's Snow White flop is now reshaping the studio's future. Following the film's disastrous box office performance and relentless public backlash, Disney has quietly unpaused production on its next live-action remake, Tangled. Tangled was set to be Disney's most expensive live-action remake to date, with a budget reportedly exceeding even that of Snow White. But insiders say the financial failure and the negative spotlight surrounding Rachel Zegler forced Disney to shut development down immediately. Even before Snow White hit theaters, executives were growing concerned about Zegler's polarizing public image, which only worsened once the film tanked. The disaster has now become much bigger than one movie or one actress. It's exposing cracks in Disney's billion-dollar strategy of pushing socially charged live-action reboots. Zegler is reportedly in meltdown mode, facing brutal online trolling and widespread criticism for her political remarks during the press tour. Sources claim she may even be seeking therapy to cope with the backlash. Meanwhile, her Snow White co-stars are backing away. Gal Gadot, who played the Evil Queen, recently commented that the film's failure stemmed from a lack of teamwork behind the scenes, an apparent reference to the tension on set.
Disney executives were pressuring Gal to defend the Disney agenda and the message behind the film. Gal refused, since she knows her career is at stake. There was one confrontation between both Gal and Rachel, where Gal recently told Zegler herself that she was the sole individual that tanked the entire film at the box office.
At the box office, the damage was undeniable, and behind the scenes, tensions were just as high. Insiders revealed that Disney allegedly asked Gal Gadot to publicly support Rachel Zegler and help salvage the film's image, but Gal reportedly declined. It's clear she, like many others involved, was frustrated that Rachel's political remarks overshadowed the entire project. Worse yet, reports from the set suggest Rachel's controlling behavior was no rumor. She frequently tried to take charge of creative decisions, particularly regarding Snow White's portrayal. During the press tour, she even joked that all of Andrew's scenes could be cut.
You've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
The backlash surrounding Snow White didn't just damage Disney's brand, it's become a full-blown Hollywood cautionary tale. One of the most controversial moments came when Rachel Zegler publicly mocked the original fairy tale, calling the prince a stalker and dismissing the love story that made Snow White a timeless classic. Her version of the character was reimagined as an independent woman with no romance, no prince, and no connection to the original. Message Disney built its legacy on. What made things worse was the growing tension behind the scenes. Insiders revealed that Rachel often tried to take control of creative decisions during filming, and even suggested that some of co-star Andrew Burnap's scenes could be cut entirely. That level of disrespect didn't go unnoticed, especially considering Andrew had worked hard to bring his role to life. Disney allegedly asked Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, to publicly defend Rachel amid the controversy, but she reportedly declined. It's clear the division wasn't just with fans, but within the cast and studio itself. With over 200 theaters. Pulling the movie, Snow White became one of the biggest flops in recent history, prompting Disney to reportedly shelve future live-action remakes. Rachel Zegler's political remarks, controlling behavior, and fractured relationships with co-stars didn't just tank a film, they helped unravel an entire billion-dollar strategy Disney was banking on. And now, with major studios starting to back away, Rachel's future in Hollywood looks increasingly uncertain. So what do you think? Can Rachel Zegler redeem herself? Was Disney's failure the result of poor leadership, or was Rachel's attitude the final nail in the coffin? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading all of them and featuring the best takes in our next video. Thanks for watching.